welcome to the December 2nd Pitt County Board of Commissioners meeting. We're happy to have you with us this evening. I will call our meeting to order. Let's please have roll call.
Mr. Chairman, we've been having trouble with Commissioner Floyd Huggins' clicker, and it appears it is not working. If we can vote by hand this
Okay,
meeting.
please, let's vote by hand. Thank you very much. If you would, please rise. Commissioner McLaughlin's going to provide our invocation.
Shall we pray? Eternal God, first of all, we come to tell you thank you. We thank you for life, health, and strength. We ask now that you come and help us to make the decision that would be pleasing to thee. In thy holy name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. If you would, remain standing, and I'm going to invite Celia Banza to the front. She's from Pitt County Early College, and she's going to do our pledge.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Celia Bansa, and I am in 10th grade at Pitt Early College High School, and I represent the sophomores for our Student Government Association. Thank you for having me this evening, and please, at this time, join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Thank you, and have a good evening.
I have a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. We still need to vote by hand. Okay. All right. Okay, I will turn over the oaths of office to Kimberly.
If we could have Commissioner McLaughlin come down and his guest, Reverend Brown, if he could come up front.
This one.
Yes, sir. Place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand. And I'm just going to administer your oath. I'll read it to you and you'll just say, I do. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear.
that I, Melvin McLaughlin,
I, Melvin McLaughlin,
will support and maintain the Constitution
will support and maintain the Constitution
and the laws of the United States
and the laws of the United States,
and not inconsistent therewith,
and not inconsistent therewith,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of my office as a Pitt County Commissioner.
of my office as Pitt County Commissioner.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
If you'll stay for a picture. Yes.
I'll invite Commissioner-elect Brown and her guest.
Judge DeSoto, if you'd come forward and all the family come join.
So before we get started, I just want to say it's a privilege to be with each of you. I am so grateful for your service. We have an excellent group that serves our county, and I'm fortunate to be here with you. I have known Rochelle and her beautiful family for 12 years now. I'm sure it goes by fast. I'm so honored you asked me to administer the oath, and I look forward to the great work that you'll do for this county. So if you will, you place your left, if you'll place your left hand on it and raise your right. And I'm going to administer the oath, and at the end, if you'll say, I will, so help me God, please. You solemnly swear that you, Rochelle Brown, will support and maintain the Constitution and laws of the United States and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina, not inconsistent therewith, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of your office as Pitt County Commissioner, so help you God.
I will, so help me God.
Congratulations.
place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand. And I'm going to read your minister your oath, if you can just say it for me. I do solemnly swear that I, Mac Manning, will support and maintain the Constitution and laws of the United States and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina, not inconsistent therewith, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office as a Pitt County Commissioner. So help me God. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Commissioner Brown. Congratulations, Commissioner Manning. I think I speak for the entire board in saying that we look forward to working with you. All right, we'll move on to the election of officers, and I will turn that over to the attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For clarity and uniformity, I'll begin by reading our rules of procedure. The board shall elect a chairman and vice chairman from among its members, who shall then immediately assume those positions for the ensuing year. Any commissioner may nominate any other commissioner for chairman or may nominate the current chairman or vice chairman for a second term. Nominations do not require a second. It is not necessary to open or close nominations by motion. Once all commissioners have had an opportunity to make a nomination, the board shall vote with the last nominee being voted on first and continuing in reverse order. A supermajority vote for the entire board is necessary to elect the current chairman or vice chairman for a second term. Otherwise, a simple majority is required. Only 2 consecutive terms as chairman are allowed. And with that, we will now open the nominations. They are in order and open for the chair of the Board of County Commissioners.
It's the pleasure of the board. Well, don't everybody jump at one time. Commissioner McGlaughlin.
I'd like to nominate Chris Nunley for the chair.
Commissioner Numley is nominated. Are there any further nominations?
I'd like to nominate the name that I never can get right, Benji Holloman.
Commissioner Holloman is being nominated. Any further nominations? Okay. And with that, we will close the nominations. And now the board shall vote again with the last nominee being voted on first, which will be Commissioner Holloman. So all in favor of Commissioner Holloman being the chair of the Board of County Commissioners, if you could, I believe we will have to raise our hands, so if you could raise your right hand. 5, and all opposed?
So all opposed?
Yes. So it's 5 to 4, is that correct? Congratulations, Commissioner Holloman. We will now move to Vice Chair. Nominations are now in order and open for Vice Chair.
I would like to nominate Mary Perkins Williams.
Commissioner Perkins Williams has been nominated. Are there any further nominations?
I nominate Melvin McLaughlin.
Commissioner McGlawhorn has been nominated. Are there any further nominations? Okay. With that, we will close the nominations. Again, voting with the last nominee being voted on first, which would be Commissioner McGlawhorn. All in favor of Commissioner McGlawhorn as Vice Chair, if you could raise your right hand. Okay. All opposed?
I'm trying to cut it off.
Are you voting?
What?
Voting for Commissioner McGlawhorn as Vice Chair?
I'm voting for
No.
myself.
Okay.
All right. Moving now to Commissioner Perkins Williams. All in favor of Commissioner Perkins Williams as Vice Chair, if you could raise your right hand. 6, and all opposed? Okay. Congratulations, Commissioner Perkins Williams. And with that, I now yield the floor to Chairman Holloman for a break and adjusting of a seating arrangement.
Madam Manager for number 8.
Yes, pursuant to your rules of procedure, which prescribes the order of business on your first meeting in December, you have now completed your oaths of office and your election of officers. Your next order of business is to affirm or modify your rules of procedure. They were provided to you in your packet for review, and this would be the time, if anybody has modifications to those, to suggest those modifications for consideration by the board. And as manager, I just have one suggested modification to your rules of procedure that I would ask the board to consider, and that relates to your meeting schedule. Later in your agenda this evening, under items for decision, you'll set your 2025 board meeting calendar. And in prior years and practice, we have scheduled those meetings around holidays or conference events. Your current rules of procedure, which have not been modified in some time, require your meetings to be held on the first and third Mondays. So my recommendation to the board is that you modify your rules of procedure to match current practice and to replace the sentence, and it's in front of you in the packet if you turn to page 4 in this package of rules of procedure at your place setting, that you change the language that says the board will hold a regular meeting on the first Monday and third Monday of each month to the board will hold at least one regular meeting each month in accordance with a meeting schedule adopted by the board at the first meeting in December each year. And then that will coincide with your practice. I also recommend that you delete, in the far past, we used to have the first Monday meeting was at 9 a.m. and the second Monday meeting was at 6 p.m. It was then changed for both meetings to be at 6 p.m., but that wording is awkward. And so my recommendation is that you remove that in accordance with the red line changes on page 4.
All right.
Solomon, if there's no discussion, I would like to make a motion to approve with Manager Gallagher's recommended changes.
We have a motion and a second. What's the pleasure of the board? Please vote, raise your hand. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. All right. Staying with you, Madam Manager.
Yes, on page 25 of your agenda package lists out your individual surety bonds. According to your rules of procedure, the next order of business is that you approve the surety bonds for all county employees that are required to be bonded at your first meeting in December. And that would be a bond for your Register of Deeds, Sheriff, Finance Director, tax Administrator. All of these bonds, as suggested, are in accordance with the North Carolina General Statutes.
All right. Any discussion?
Move approval.
Got a motion? Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. All right. Moving on to item number 10, public addresses to the board.
Mr. Chairman, you have no one signed up to speak.
All right. Moving on to number 11, presentations.
The first, if the board will approve the presentations to the resolutions to Stephen Godley and Janet Bunch, the chairman and I, while the chairman and I are going down to present those.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Is Stephen Godley's down there? Okay, perfect.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And if Stephen Godley would come forward.
I was looking for Janelle. Janelle was trying to push the button.
Come forward to the center. It is always special when we have, if you come right here to the center and Mr. Godley, that's your spot right there. Perfect. You have down with you Chairman Benji Holloman, and I'm Janice Gallagher, the county manager. And we are so thrilled to recognize you for having 30 years of service with Pitt County government. We'd like to present you with this resolution that reads, Resolution honoring Stephen Godley for his years of service with Pitt County government. And it reads, whereas Stephen Godley, a licensed clinical social worker, has dedicated his life and career to improving the health and well-being of high-risk expectant mothers and their families through his role as a care manager for high-risk pregnancy, beginning his impactful journey in 1994. And whereas Stephen Godley has earned recognition as the best care manager in the state of North Carolina, a testament to his unmatched expertise, compassion, and commitment to providing exceptional care to those in need. And whereas Stephen Godley has tirelessly served his clients and team with unwavering dedication, fostering trust, hope, and positive outcomes for families during some of their most vulnerable times, all while exemplifying professionalism and excellence. And whereas Stephen Godley contributed significantly to his community through 15 years of service on the Human Rights Committee for RHA, where he worked to uphold the dignity, rights, and well-being of individuals, showcasing his steadfast commitment to equity and justice. And whereas Stephen's 3 decades of service have left an indelible mark on the field of care management, inspiring colleagues and improving countless lives through his dedication, expertise, and compassionate care. And whereas Stephen's love for the Carolina basketball team is both well-known and celebrated, reflecting his enthusiasm and joy in supporting his team, particularly during March Madness, when he takes a much-deserved break to immerse himself in the excitement of the game. And now therefore be it resolved that the Pitt County Board of Commissioners does hereby express its gratitude and thanks to Stephen Godley for his outstanding contributions to care management for high-risk pregnancy, his tireless advocacy for human rights, and his unwavering support of his clients, colleagues, and community. And be it further resolved that we extend our deepest gratitude to Stephen for his 3 decades of service, his leadership, and his commitment to excellence, wishing him continued success, happiness, and many more Carolina victories. Adopted this the 2nd day of December 2024, signed by Chairman Mark C. Smith at the time this was written, and attested by Kimberly W. Hines, clerk to the board. If Chairman Holloman, you would present this to Mr. Godley.
Thank you so much for your service.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Anything you'd like to say?
Thank you so much. I appreciate everything.
We're very grateful for your service. Thank you. Okay, and we'll hold on to Janet Bunch. She was unable to be here this evening, but we will present this to her at her retirement reception. I'll leave this with Kimberly Hines. Thank you. And Mr. Chairman, that leads us to our 3rd presentation, which I'll call Sam Kroon to introduce our next speaker.
Good evening. I'd like to introduce Tanya Thompson with auditing firm Martin and Starnes. They're our auditors, and she's here to present our fiscal year 2024 audit to the Board of Commissioners. Ms. Thompson.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for having me tonight. Thank you, Sam. Again, my name is Tanya Thompson. I'm a senior manager with the accounting firm Martin Starnes and Associates. This is my 4th year here before you to present the audit results, and I'm happy to do so. So I just have some key information about your fiscal year end, June 30, 2024. So I like to start with our opinion on your financial statements. You hire us as auditors to give you an opinion on the county's financial statements and whether those financial statements are fairly presented. So they are the financial results of the hard work and the guidance of the board and the employees of the county, and it's our job to just say, yes, these financial statements are fairly presented or not. So our opinion is that they are. We have not technically submitted that audit just yet. We have one small hang-up on the issuance of the financial statements with some state reporting and DSS, but that does not affect the financial information that I'm going to present to you tonight. I do want to thank Sam and his entire department, and really every department. We have a wide reach with our audit. We spend a lot of time with DSS, Public Health, the Tax Department, the Finance Department, Transportation Department. We look at a lot of things, make a lot of requests, and it really does take both sides working very closely together to accomplish getting that audit report completed. So I know one of the biggest or most important factors that you can look at with the health of a local government is the fund balance. So you have your assets, your cash and things, and you have your liabilities. And fund balance is basically what's left over. What do we have at the end of the fiscal year that we can take into the next fiscal year to use for the county's purposes? And so the available fund balance is a statutory calculation that tells you this is how much you can actually appropriate in the next year's budget. So this is the maximum amount you could have appropriated in your 25 budget based on the ending balances of fiscal year 24. And that number was $79,030,984. So in comparison, you will see that your available fund balance last year was $74,247,970. It's about a $4.8 million increase in your fund balance available. This graph will show you a 3-year trend from 22 to 24 of that same amount, the fund balance available, but also compared to the net expenditures of the general fund. And this gives you a percentage that is monitored pretty closely by the LGC that says how much of your annual expenditures will that fund balance cover. So if you'll, in 2022, that was 32.3%. In 23, we went up to 42.9, and in 2024, we're at 40.7 as a percentage. The minimum recommended percentage for a unit of your size is 16%. And the average, if you take other local governments in North Carolina that have general fund budgets over $100 million, that average percentage is 32%. So you are a little bit above average, above your peers in terms of that fund balance available percentage. This graph will show you a little bit of a comparison of your revenues and your expenditures for the past 3 years. You can see in 2024, your revenues did increase by $10 million. That's a 5% overall increase. Your expenditures did increase $18 million. That is an 11% increase. You'll notice that the red in each of these graphs does exceed the green. So in all of the past 3 years, your revenues have exceeded your expenditures. To look more closely at your major revenues, you'll notice that orange slice of your pie, 60% of your revenues come from ad valorem taxes. Your restricted intergovernmental revenues, that's your grants and things like that, was 14%. Other taxes and licenses, that's mostly your local option sales tax, 16%, and other revenues, 10%. That is 90% of your total revenues come from those top 3 sources. And those percentages are comparable to the prior year. If we look only at ad valorem taxes, you'll notice an increase of $5.3 million from last year. That's about 5% increase in your ad valorem taxes. Your other taxes and licenses actually decreased $1.5 million, or 5%. That was due to some changes at the state level with the Medicaid hold harmless a portion of your local option sales tax. There was also some amount of leveling off of overall of your local option sales tax. In the restricted intergovernmental category, you had a pretty significant increase, 2.8%, or 2.8 million, 11%. Looking at your major expenditure categories, your largest categories of spending at the county are education at 32%, public safety at 28%, and human services at 26%. All other expenditures make up 14%. Those top 3 categories make up 85% of the total expenditures. Education spending increased $3.7 million, or 7%. That is due to the operating allocation to the schools. Public safety increased $5.7 million, or 13%, and that is a combination of salaries and benefits going up, COLA increases, and also capital purchases. In the human services category, that was an increase of $4.9 million, or 12%. Again, this is a combination of a lot of different things, including salaries and benefit increases, other DSS administrative cost increases, and an increase in the need for services like foster care and things like that at DSS. So the increase that you see in this category corresponds to that increase in revenues that you see in the restricted and intergovernmental category. To take a quick look at your solid waste fund, which is your enterprise or business type fund, the current assets of the solid waste fund increased to $4.4 million from $1.8. Your current liabilities also increased to just over $1 million from $543,000. Your quick ratio, which is a measure of those current assets and your current liabilities, how much do you have on hand to pay your liabilities, is 4.41. The quick ratio is a number or a ratio that is monitored by the local government commission as well, and they expect it to be at least 1, which meaning you have just enough assets to cover your liabilities. Another way to look at your enterprise fund is your cash flows. Where did your money come from? How much did you have left over? So you had cash flows from operations of almost $3.4 million. That's a pretty significant increase over the prior year. You reduced your debt service to 0. You had one loan in that fund and then it was paid off, meaning your cash flow less your debt service is $3.9 million or $3.4 million. So performance indicators, or key performance indicators, are something that came up a few years ago with the local government commission. They have started collecting a lot of data and analyzing it to help them pinpoint where local governments might have need of areas of concern that might need further attention. So one item that we noted during our audit, which will be reported in the audit report when you get it, is there was unauthorized access into the finance department. And this is an IT security issue because the access to the finance department, which holds sensitive financial information and employee information, should be pretty closely guarded. That is the only finding that we have other than any that would come up during our compliance audit of DSS. There were no other red flags that came up in the analysis from the LGC or from our audit. There were several positive performance indicators. We have the general fund available fund balance percentage that we discussed, your timely, hopefully timely audit submission. We're still working on the audit submission, stable property tax valuation, and collection percentage. You do have 60 days from the date of this presentation today to provide a written response to the local government commission about the IT security issue. That concludes my presentation. I am happy to answer any questions that anyone has about the audit or the financials or the presentation.
Any questions from commissioners? All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Do we have a motion to accept?
Motion is second.
All in, got a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to items for report. Mr. Wes Gray, if you'll come up. Thank you, ma'am.
And while he's coming up, I'll just mention to the board, it's been a minute since you've heard from Wes Gray, your Public Health Director, and we wanted to get him back onto a quarterly reporting schedule. He had some interesting information to report. Commissioner Floyd Huggins is your liaison representative at the current time for the Board of Health, and we've asked Wes to come and share with you a quarterly update and hope that we'll make this a regular thing.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, and Madam Manager. Again, I'm just going to present a brief update on some of the happenings over the last quarter in public health. Overview, what I'm going to talk about tonight is a little bit of respiratory virus season. This is the season we're in from October to the end of February, early May. So I'll give some updates on that. Communicable disease cases, some notable cases we've had in the community, STI rapid clinic trends, a pit stop update, and some departmental highlights. So respiratory virus season, that starts typically in October, and right now we lump together influenza, RSV, and COVID. Looking at the chart, you can see the red line. We had a big COVID spike that peaked in August. That has seemed to gone down across the ECU health system in the northeastern counties. Very low cases of COVID, very low cases of flu, almost unmeasurable cases of flu we've seen. Typically, flu season last year really started picking up in the first week of December and peaked around Christmas, New Year time. So we want to see if that trend continues. But right now, we've not seen any indication of cases going up. We have seen a slight uptick in the green line. That's RSV. We are measuring that now. More people are measuring it. It's a newer test. You know, we've seen a lot about RSV in the last few years, so more places are measuring it, so we are seeing more cases come positive that we are able to measure. You can see, too, across the ECU health system in the chart on the right, that pink bar is your RSV cases, so we've seen a little bit more of those, and again, a little bit more of the common cold-type viruses, but very, very low flu at this time of year. About the influenza tour, we really have been promoting flu vaccines for the county employees. So we had 14 different events at different county agencies. They hosted our team that came out and gave shots. We did 325 shots over 14 events in the month of October. Clinic visits for our clinic fiscal year, quarter one, starting in July. We've seen an increase in the number of visits, and that's again a reflection of being almost fully staffed in our nursing sections. We're able to see more patients coming in. So we've definitely see a big spike in September because that's the month when we had a lot of kids coming in to get their necessary shots and their immunization visits and their school health assessments, so they wouldn't be held back from attending school. We did over 289 shot visits and 130 school health assessments. And those school health assessments are a new thing we started doing this year with a big team from ECU Health and School of Medicine. We're able to come in and do a whole lot of physicals in one day when normally we would only be able to do maybe less than 10 a day. We were able to do over 130 over 2 different days in those clinics. Some of the notable communicable disease cases, pertussis, we did have a whooping cough case on the 8th of August, the 27th of August. Again, that was just one case, not an epidemic like we had in the mountains earlier this year. Henderson County had well over 150 cases, Cherokee County. A lot of counties had big whooping cough outbreaks, but luckily we only had that one case here in Pitt County. We did have 2 positive, rabies-positive raccoons 2 days apart back in August. Again, only one of those was involvement with a human, where that person had to have a vaccine. West Nile virus, we had 2 cases of West Nile in the county. Thankfully, as the temperatures got colder, we start to see less and less of those type of mosquito-borne illnesses. And then the tuberculosis case identified on November 8th. We've been able to test over 140 D.H. Connolly staff and students. We repeat that in January. We're also identified and we're able to test 35 additional adults and 25 children. We're tested across the county as possible exposures to that case. No active cases have been found. Again, that's our first case of TB this year. Last year in 2023, we had 3 active cases of tuberculosis. Some of the results in the rapid clinic, that started last August of 2023, so we have over a year of data on that. We've seen 2,787 patients since August 23, and that ranges anywhere from a low of 157 a month to our biggest month was this October. So last October, 223 cases came in. As you can see, our major STIs, sexually transmitted infections, gonorrhea, chlamydia, and trichinosis and syphilis have all seen those decreased trends over time, which is really good. When it first started, at the beginning, we're offering these rapid clinics. People were coming in, getting a quick result. We identified a lot of cases, and we've seen, spikes come and go, but overall downward trend as the year has gone on in those 3 major STIs. We're seeking later on tonight for items of consent approval to apply for ECU Health Foundation Community Benefits Grant to continue the rapid clinic. Again, that increases the clinic capacity, reduces the time to treatment, and reduces visit time and cost for the patient. An update on the pit stop in Bethel. Again, the county funding construction bid was approved at the last meeting. The digital equity grant from the Department of Information Technology, we're working through that. That's almost $400,000 for upgrades for this building and then potential future expansion for pit stop sites. And again, in items for consent, we're seeking approval to apply for a community health grant, and that's $150,000 a year for 3 years from the Office of Rural Health to expand primary care provider access for both the health department and the pit stop clinic. And then some departmental highlights. We're expanding our community vegetable garden behind the health department. We have 4 beds now. We've added 8 new beds over the last week and a half. Still under construction, and we're about to get dirt to fill those in and start to plant those and get ready for our spring season. Our WIC participation increase, we've seen a big jump since January. Again, last year with the end of some of the COVID waivers, we saw over 1,000 case decrease in our caseload because of the end of some of those waivers. So since January, we had 3,403 in the caseload. And then this last month, we've gone up to 4,266. We've seen really good increases. That's a reflection of, again, being able to be fully staffed, hiring a supervisor and a new WIC director to really get those case numbers up. And effective, because of those numbers increasing, on October 1st, the state increased our caseload baseline from 3,760 to 4,143. And so we're above that now, so we're at 105% of our current base, and that really impacts our funding. So we were able to get about a $52,000 funding increase because of that increase in the number of cases we've been able to add over the last several months. I want to update you on the well rule update. Our Board of Health revised our irrigation and agriculture well rule in Pitt County. This was originally adopted February of 2007, revised in 2011, and then revised again in September of this year. It corrected a technical issue to allow our registered environmental health specialist inspectors to continue to receive authorizations from DHHS and to ensure we're covered by the Attorney General's Office for private drinking water wells. And then it clarifies the naming of the wells we regulate. Before it said all private wells, and now it clearly identifies irrigation wells. A little bit about the opioid settlement. We had August 7th, we had the One More Thing opioid conference at the Association of County Commissioners annual meeting. We were able to do a stakeholder meeting on October 4th, a Greenville City Council workshop to discuss city funds, and that'll come up later in the items for decision. October 22nd, we chaired a regional substance abuse misuse coalition for all the health departments in the northeastern part of the state in Plymouth. November 14th, the Greenville City Council meeting, they passed a resolution to transfer current and future opioid funding to Pitt County via an interlocal agreement. And then on November 19th, the opioid state technical assistant team meeting was in Kernersville, and our staff were able to attend that and meet with other opioid coordinators. So again, the funds allocated so far for Pitt County were $1,179,256. That includes rollovers from year one. $326,585 have been spent. And then City of Greenville funds, that's $1.8 million projected over the length of that settlement that are going to be combined with Pitt County. One highlight from last week, 2 weeks ago, November 13th, we had a diabetes block party. Well over 100 folks were able to come to the health department and learn more about diabetes. And then I want to also mention, thank you all so much for recognizing our employee that passed away recently, Christy Coulter. She was our child health consultant. And so we really miss Christy, worked up until she went out on hospice, and really miss her, and thank y'all for that recognition. And then with that, we'll be glad to answer any questions y'all might have.
Any questions from the board?
Yeah.
Commissioner McLaughlin.
Yes, sir. You mentioned West Nile virus, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, where did that originate from?
It comes from mosquitoes, and so that we've seen a case in Beaufort County, and that was a resident of Pitt County, and then we had one other. We had 2 total for this year.
Okay. And how about the COVID? How's that? You talked about that a little bit. Where are we standing with COVID cases as compared to last year?
Sure. Well, this year is very low number of cases this year. Again, we saw cases go up in July, peaked in August, and have been going down ever since. I think they only had 6 cases in the ECU health system as of last week's update, and 2.6% positivity rate. So it's very low circulation of COVID at this time. So we're very pleased with that.
Thank you. Good job.
Thank you.
Mr. West, thank you for the report. I have a couple of questions about 2 different things, the pit stops.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, you covered the children immunization, are all the children in Pitt County immunizated as it used to be from communicable diseases like whooping cough, tuberculosis, and that sort of thing?
Yes, there's vaccines for kindergarten, 7th grade, and 12th grade, and we were focusing on those 7th grade and 12th grade vaccines to get people back in. And in the past years, there's been well over 100 kids kind of held back from that. As recently, it was probably less than 20 this year did not get all those.
Yeah, because when the public hears about it, they just say, well, we used to have that, and we don't have it anymore. So I wanted to ask that question for
Right,
that.
so we vaccinate for measles and all types of things. So in
Yeah.
Pitt County, those kindergartners, we're at like 96%. So we're fairly high for coverage for measles. And some of the counties we do start seeing outbreaks are when they get below that 95% threshold.
Pit stops in right now it's in Bethel.
Yes.
When we started, I think there was gonna have a pit stop in Griffin, was it? Is that still on or off?
Potentially, there's been discussions
Possible.
around Aden and Farmville.
Okay, yeah.
For the next 2 sites.
So there will be others at far out places. The people in Bethel who goes to that pit stop, do they have to necessarily live in Pitt County, or is it that they can be just in that area?
Well, being in that area, we anticipate, potentially patients coming in from Edgecombe and Oak City and Martin County and all that, because right there, being on the highway right there, could potentially bring in.
Because that was a question I had from
Focus on
other
Pitt County
places, and
residents,
I didn't-
absolutely, but
Thank you
there's
very
always
much.
potential that some could come from surrounding counties.
Thank you. I appreciate all you do for all the citizens in our area.
Thank you.
Commissioner Smith.
Yes, Mr. Gray, and this, I think you'll know the answer to this. If a student comes into Pitt County schools, can they start school without being immunized?
They have a 30-day period to bring in those records.
So a kid can start school, be in class, be in school with everybody else for 30 days before they have to provide that.
Right, when school starts, that starts that countdown window. So
Does that seem a little dangerous?
that's why we really, really stress getting those vaccines and making sure they're up to date.
Is that
'cause
a Pitt County schools rule? Is that a state law?
It's a state of North Carolina rule.
So it's a state law?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate all you do.
Yes,
You've done a-
absolutely. And I can
you've
get you
done
the
a great
exact numbers on those too.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Moving on to the manager's report.
Yes, I have a few items to report this evening. The next is first is your next meeting date, December 16th at 6 p.m. in this room. Also, a reminder, tomorrow morning from 8:30 to 10:30 is the annual Pitt County Soil and Water Legislative Breakfast in the Mark Owens Auditorium in the Ag Center. We hope those who have RSVP'd to that event will join. Your third item for those who have RSVP'd is a reminder that on Thursday, December 5th, from 11 to 1 is the Mideast Commission Annual Holiday Open House, and that is in Little Washington for our 5-county region. For those available December 5th from 4 to 6, all are welcome to come support Emergency Management as they host their next annual Holiday Safety Fair. It's always a huge hit at Alice Keene District Park. And that will be from 4 to 6 this Thursday evening. For those new commissioners who are registered, there is a webinar Thursday morning at 8:30, a reminder for your pre-session New Commissioner Essentials workshop entitled From Campaigning to Governing, What a Newly Elected Commissioner Needs to Know in the First 30 Days. And I believe both of our new commissioners are registered for that webinar Thursday morning. Keep an eye out for registration if anyone,
Can we get a review that if we'd like to?
and if you would like to review it, let the clerk know, absolutely. Yes, any commission, it's geared towards new commissioners, but if there are existing commissioners who would like a refresher, we're glad for you to join that webinar. Similarly, the Essentials of County Government course, which is put on by the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners, is a 2-day seminar, January 16th and 17th in New Bern. That's also for new commissioners, but if there are seasoned commissioners who need a refresher, you can let Kimberly Hines know if you would like to be registered to attend that course. And it might make sense to first listen to the Thursday, December 5th session to determine if you want to attend the January 16th, 17th more in-depth 2-day session. But just wanted to make you aware of that. Also, wanted to recognize and congratulate our own Mike Taylor, Chief Information Officer, who is in the audience, and Deputy County Manager, for being recognized for the Infotech Research Group Award. Infotech is an international research and advisory firm that serves organizations across the nation and world. Mike was recognized with a 2024 CIO Award in the Large Enterprise Division, which is a really big deal. The award honors exceptional leaders who align IT services with the organization's goals to deliver strategic value and measurable results. This achievement reflects really the dedicated effort of the entire IT team here in Pitt County and our organization in implementing impactful technology solutions. It's really a win for the entire organization.
So what do we get?
Bragging rights for Mike, a pat on the back, and the assurance that our IT department is recognized as one of the best in our nation. The other thing I will just briefly say, so that there's no confusion, you just did hear earlier of an IT security concern. That was not our county IT, did not emanate from our county IT department. There are sub-IT departments within the county. This particular one, and the board can have more details at a later date if you'd like, was within the sheriff's office, and it allowed access after hours to financial services. Our IT department, with Mike Taylor's leadership, immediately recognized it, provided an immediate solution, and resolved that issue in a very timely manner. And so just clarify that in the face of this award right after having heard that.
Thank you, Mike.
So congratulations to Mike Taylor.
Yeah.
And he wins in the IT department. They win a lot of awards. I know I've seen several that he's won. Congratulations.
We are fortunate to have him. And that concludes what I have written. If I could add one more, just a shout out for the incredible work that's happening in emergency management. Remember that December 1st through 7th is Winter Weather Preparedness Week. So if you keep an eye on Pitt County's social media, you'll see emergency management providing awareness and tips on our social media about how to stay safe in the cold weather and how to be prepared for it. Unless there are any questions, that's all that I have.
All right, we'll move on to number 13, items for consent.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion
Second.
to approve the item for consent.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Any opposed? Motion passes. All right. Item number 14, number 1.
On page 69 of your agenda package is a proposed board meeting calendar for fiscal year 25-20, and a fiscal year 25-26 budget calendar. Your meeting calendar is your calendar year, January to December, and your budget calendar is for next fiscal year. If you'll take a look at that in your agenda package on page 69, that is
I don't
the.
have a page 69.
That's a problem.
But is it in my hand?
Actually, it is. Nope, it is. Oh, 69 is the beginning of the abstract, 70 is the actual schedule itself.
69 is actually gone.
Okay, here you go.
Well, there you go. Fix that.
Mr. Chair, motion to approve calendar.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand, please. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 2, Kelly Andrews.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
Pitt County has been awarded an NC Commerce Rural Community Capacity Grant in the amount of $30,000 and an additional award in the amount of $15,000 from the Southeast Crescent Regional Commission for the project titled Pitt County Comprehensive Strategic Plan. There's no county match for these funds, so it's requested that the board accept this grant, approve the attached budget amendment to reflect the revenue and the resolution reflecting acceptance, in addition to authorizing staff to develop a request for qualifications for a consultant who will engage board, community, and staff to develop a comprehensive strategic plan for Pitt County.
So you don't have to do anything. It's for us to get someone to do it.
That's correct, yes.
Mr. Chairman, if I can add to that, I know the board has heard from me for quite a while that Pitt County has long needed a strategic plan. We do have some funds budgeted in your current fiscal year budget, anticipating that we would come to the board in January to seek approval for a request for proposals to pursue that plan. Kelly in Economic Development and Devin Johnson in Financial Services attended a rural development course at East Carolina University this year as part of their continuing professional development. And as part of that development, they became aware of this grant opportunity. The two of them applied for this grant, knowing that there was no county match, and it was awarded. And so these funds will offset your budgeted funds for that project. They may or may not cover the full cost of the project, but you have those budgeted funds in between. So we're asking today for the approval to accept this. And then the only other caveat I would add to that is I have begun to review the grant documents. And in one of the grants, it appears to have a requirement that we be under contract by December 31st. If we are, and it also requires that we follow federal procurement requirements. If that's the case, that's not realistic. So we would ask for approval to accept this, provided we can get an answer back that allows us to follow those rules and comply with the grant. If not, we would ask for permission to accept the smaller of the two grants and still allow us to continue to move forward with that RFQ with the funds that we had previously budgeted.
Mr. White.
I just want to say I'm very excited about this. Thank you, Kelly, and thank you to Devin also for his work on that. I'm very excited. I think that the county definitely needs to get a strategic plan to keep us on track to ensure that we are staying focused on the goals and priorities that we set with the strategic plan. If there's no further discussion, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the grants with the recommendation from the county manager in regards to the rules.
I second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Any
And thank you
opposed?
for your sharpness.
Motion passes. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you very much.
All right, moving right along, number 3, Ms. Manning. Or, I guess, Wes Gray.
It doesn't have with we got Angela Manning.
I think he's
Thank you.
filling in.
This is the contract for dental services. Some of the background, the health department has moved from advertising a salaried dentist position to advertising for contracted services. We've been advertising for over a year and a half with only one qualified candidate. They declined due to compensation. We had one locums candidate. They backed out a day before a scheduled start. We previously approved a dental contract earlier this year that included a base hourly rate of $75, quarterly bonuses, that's a half of excess revenues for the quarter, and then a 5% of the dental portion of the Medicaid cost settlement that comes in every year. Some of the rationale for changing and revising this next 6 months of this contract, there is no dental Medicaid cost settlement for fiscal year 23-24 because we didn't have a dentist, and we didn't have a dentist for the first half of 24-25. So July 1st to the end of December, we did not have a dentist, so there's no potential for cost settlement. If the dentist starts in January 2024, which we have the potential for with Dr. Askew, there will be 6 months of eligible dental Medicaid cost settlement, and we get that payment in the spring of 2026. So we've taken that out of this next 6 months of the contract, since we won't be getting any kind of payment for it. Some of the locums rates for staffing companies for dentists average $180 to $200 an hour. Local public health dentists in surrounding counties are averaging about $125 to $130 per hour for contracted services directly with the health departments. So the proposed contract that you have tonight is for the last 6 months of fiscal year 24-25. It increases the hourly rate to $125 and keeps the potential for quarterly bonuses if we see any excess revenues over the last 2 quarters of this fiscal year. This is, again, a rebuilding year. So the next fiscal year 2025-2026 contract that starts July 1st, we will look at reducing that hourly rate and then adding back in a portion of the cost settlement bonus if approved. And the candidate, just a little bit of background for him. Dr. Darian Askew, he's a local resident, graduated at ECU School of Dental Medicine in 2022. Very impressive gentleman. So hopefully, if everything goes well and it's approved, he will start 1st of January.
Any discussion?
I got
Oh, we got a question.
a question. Now, where would this office be?
It's the mobile unit.
It's a
So
mobile
it's our
unit.
new mobile unit that we opened up earlier this year. It replaced the Smile Safari, and so that travels
It
to
replaced
different.
what? I can't
It
hear.
replaced the old Smile Safari dental van that
Right.
operated for about 20 years. And then this is the new mobile unit that goes to about 19 middle and elementary schools in the county.
Okay, okay, great.
Any further discussion? All right. What's the pleasure of the board?
A motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Any opposed? Motion passes. Is he gonna handle number 4 too?
Yes.
All right, moving on to number 4. Think you're still up.
Yep, this is my last one. This is the resolution and interlocal agreement for allocation and expenditure of national opioid settlement funds with the city of Greenville. A little bit of a background, this is Caitlin Houston as an opioid settlement coordinator, and Angie Manning, our deputy health director, has been spearheading this with the city of Greenville. Their first meeting was July 17th for background, met with the city to discuss a joint partnership for the opioid funding. October 4th, we again had that stakeholder meeting that was hosted by the city of Greenville. October 7th, we had the workshop to discuss agreement terms. And on the 14th, the Greenville City Council passed a resolution to transfer current and future opioid funding to Pitt County via an interlocal agreement. We're co-hosting 3 upcoming informational meetings in January, partnering with the city of Greenville in January, and then others throughout the rest of the county. And so the proposal tonight is to authorize the chair to sign the resolution and authorize the county manager to execute the interlocal agreement and any related documents.
Any questions?
Move approve.
Got a motion? Got a second? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Is that a first county manager that the Greenville sent some money over to the county?
Not the first, but hopefully a trend.
Well, let's hope so.
A new beginning.
All right, moving on to item number 5, budget amendment. Jennifer Lanier Coward, if you'll come up and join us.
And most of you have already met Jennifer. She is our new Parks and Recreation, Cultural Arts
Welcome.
and Recreation Director.
Good evening. Chairman, members of the board, and County Manager Gallagher. The staff of Pitt County did an amazing job writing and submitting an application for funding from the North Carolina Parks and Recreation Trust Fund. Funding received will be used to construct park amenities as associated with Phase 2 of the recreation project at Government Circle. A restroom, picnic shelter, a walking trail, and playground will be constructed due to funding received from the grant along with local government match. All the amenities that will be constructed are highlighted in green, as I said, to entail a playground, picnic shelter, walking trail, and restrooms. The amenities within the park will enhance the recreational experience for all citizens in Pitt County. Thank you.
All right.
Can we ask questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Would there be acoustics in the auditorium and beds being acquired for shelter when the storm comes? So our weather is
You're
perfect?
talking about the community center.
Oh,
And
okay.
Jennifer's talking about Phase 2, which will be the
Oh,
park
okay.
beside the community center.
Okay.
And we can sit down, probably a conversation with Tim Corley and Jennifer about the interior of that community center building, which is moving forward and progressing beautifully. You may recall, while we were building that, that was Phase 1 of that North Park plan. There was a Phase 2 and a Phase 3 and a Phase 4 that was presented by McGill & Associates. Phase 2 is the outdoor recreation area. And this board authorized staff to apply for that Parks and Recreation Trust Fund grant. Reason it's coming back to you really as an item for decision this evening is because it has a dollar-for-dollar match. And so this item, if you approve it tonight, will allow us to accept that $468,000 and pull the funds from savings to match that money so that we can move on to Phase 2. We did not expect to be talking about Phase 2 this year. We expected that Jennifer would have her hands full with Phase 1, the community center. But if you approve this evening, this will allow us to accept this grant, provide that match from what you heard earlier, would come from a very healthy fund balance, and allow Park Phase 2 to almost begin simultaneously.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move approval.
Hold on. All right, we got a motion and a second. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion passes
Thank
unanimously.
you.
Good luck. Good work.
Number 6, Mr. Sam Croom.
As Sam is pulling up his presentation, ARPA stands for American Rescue Plan Act, and Sam's going to provide his final update before that obligation deadline this evening.
Good evening, Chairman Holloman, Commissioners, Madam Manager. Tonight I bring you an item for decision in an amended grant project ordinance and the budget amendments, along with an update. You should have an updated grant project ordinance at your place that is different from your board packet. And I'll go over the changes that you'll see in that grant project ordinance. Just a little bit of update and a little bit of history. Our original ordinance was back in September of 2021. Pitt County received $35,107,015. We must obligate all these funds by December 31st of 2024. And we must spend all these funds by December 31st of 2026. Financial Services has made adjustments as directed by the Board of Commissioners from September 16th, 2024. County staff is recommending new adjustments to obligate the $35,107,015 before December 31st, 2024. Financial Services is bringing back an amended grant project ordinance as directed by the Board. And this ordinance will replace all prior amended grant project ordinances. Another update, House Bill 10 was overridden by the General Assembly. This caused a refund of completing access to broadband, the CAB project that we had prior budgeted and obligated. Again, just a reminder that we do have just a short window here to obligate these funds before the December 31st, 2024 deadline. Now on to the ARPA project reconciliation. As you can see in this first chart, I have ARPA projects by expenditure categories listed here that goes through the original, goes back to the grant project ordinance that we amended back on April 15, 2024. And on the next page, this is the what we're offering to be the amended version of the ARPA ordinance as of December 2nd, 2024. And these is coming from staff. This comes from the staff changes that you directed in September as directed by the board, and also comes with recommendations. These changes and recommendations will save Pitt County from using fund balance from the general and EMS funds. And going through this, these projects, you'll see the first one is COVID-19 vaccine incentive pay. This adjustment came from September. This we increased by 54 cents just to bring it into balance of what we actually spent. On the purchase of new ambulances, stretchers, and Zoll monitors, this is a combination of adjustments from September, but also staff recommendations. Roughly, that project went over a little over $200,000, so we made that adjustment. But also, with the refund from CAB, we're also recommending that the total increase go to $1,268,685.74. the replacement of water fountains in county facilities. We increased that from September. That was a $220 advertisement bill that we found that we needed to increase to bring that into balance. For Alice Keene Community Center and for the Pitt Community Office Park Community Center projects, for these two, we're recommending to use part of that savings from that refund that will help us on saving from the using the general fund balance. We're recommending $1,031,698.25 for each one of them projects. As far as the courthouse project, this is coming from some additional furniture that we're going to be that we purchased. This was coming back from September. We increased that project by $82,671.81. Premium pay for workers, that project, we decreased by 59 cents. That's just to bring it into balance, and that was from the September update to the board. The first and second Great Grant Awards, there's no change in them too. The CAB grant program, that's the decrease of $4,045,000, and that is from a refund from the state. That we did not have to use county money for that project. For nonprofit applications, that remains no change. Community Crossroads, that project is at no change. CARE, that transitional housing project, that is at no change. The Eviction Prevention and Rental and Utilities Assistant program, we decreased that by $505.66. That comes from September. Hotel, temporary hotel sheltering, that is no change. Habitat for Humanity, that project is no change. Improve and replace housing in Pitt County to improve quality, affordable housing. That project has came in under budget. There's a $308,382. That is the reason for your amended grant project ordinance there. Planning let us know Wednesday that there was additional $75,000 savings. So we wanted to make sure that we allocated and obligated that money through this process by December 31st. For the Whitehurst Station water line project, there's no change. Aden water line project, there's no change. Purchase of new police radios, we increased by 16 cents. That's just to bring it into balance. We shared with the board back in September that we need to make that adjustment. The engineering art position and the financial art coordinator positions, we decreased these two positions, allocations there. These positions are no longer filled, and so we had that money. We brought this to the board's attention, and on the first one, we decreased it $195,274.17. The second one, we decreased $266,491.15. We're adding two projects to the Alice Keene Community Center project. This is to help replenish the fund balance. We're adding $339.41. Pitt County Office Project Community Center project, we increased it by $700,339.41. These are all of our projects, and this brings us into balance at $35,107,015. It is my recommendation that the board approves the amended grant project ordinance and approves the budget amendment. Are there any questions? Yes.
Just a quick question, yeah. Quick question, Sam. So these are, obviously the conversation tonight is about obligations. We've got an expenditure target. Is that into 26? Is that right?
That's correct.
How are we doing on being able to get, we've got them obligated now if we approve tonight. How are we doing on all those other targets?
We're roughly, I think the last I looked at it, and I don't have that number with me, but I think we're about $24 to $25 million already spent.
Okay.
We anticipate both community centers, if I may, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry. anticipate both community centers, and I'll look towards Tim, one to be completed in February and one to be completed in the spring, a little bit after that.
Okay.
And that's where the bulk of these funds are, which will assure that all of this money will be spent timely on a known project that will be completed within that window, freeing up your fund balance to reallocate other places.
Motion to approve.
Second.
You got a motion? We have a second? Second. All in favor, please raise your right hand. And it passes unanimously. All right, now we're down to number 15, Commissioner's comments, and I'll start to my left.
That'll be me. All right, I want to welcome Commissioner Brown and Commissioner Manning. I look forward to working with both of you. Congratulations to Mike Taylor for a job well done in your IT department. I also just want to give a little shout out, thank you to Mr. Russell Hill in the tax office. He is always so helpful in the last few months. I've had a few people reach out to me with a question, and I have reached out to Mr. Hill, and he immediately responds and gets the issue or question answered that very day. So, thank you, Mr. Hill.
Just wanted to welcome Commissioners Manning and Commissioner Brown to the board. Looking forward to working with you both. Hopefully you can keep us in line a little bit.
Commissioner Huggins?
I've said my welcomes already, so I don't have any other comments.
All right, Commissioner McLaughlin?
Well, congratulate Commissioner Brown and certainly Commissioner Manning for a job well done. And I'd like to congratulate our new chair.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Commissioner Manning?
I'd just like to say I'm glad to be here. Look forward to working with all of you, and I'd be remiss if I didn't thank the voters in District C for putting their confidence in me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am, you're up.
So first of all, congratulations to our new chair and vice chair. To all of you, I'm looking very forward to working alongside of you. It is an absolute honor to be here, so thank you so much. Congratulations to Mac as well. And I also just want to say thank you to all of the voters. The last year has just been an absolute humbling experience and fantastic experience. So I'm looking forward to serving Pitt County. So thank you.
Mr. Smith?
I'll echo my fellow commissioners. We look forward to working with Commissioner Mann, Commissioner Brown. I would like to thank this board for allowing me to serve as your chairman this past year. It was an honor to do so. And I want to thank our senior staff. You guys are amazing. We appreciate all you do. We're very fortunate to have the staff that we have here. And then last but not least, I'd like to thank Janice and Kimberly for keeping me straight all year. You guys were awesome. Thank you so much for your assistance. And congratulations to our chairman and vice chairman.
Ditto, everything's been said. But I'd like to add, I wrote it down. To the family of Patricia Grimes, who have worked for many years for the Board of Elections with elections, especially at the Pitt County Government Circle facility. All my condolences go with the family, with her immediate relatives, and to the community, family, and friends that we surely will miss her. And we've lost a good worker, someone who has served us in a capacity of such, who died early this morning, suddenly. And that's for me, as a member of the District 2. I'm a bit surprised by it, but we never know when, and we never know where, and we never know why. And my prayers are with everyone connected to this death.
Thank you, ma'am. Echo the same sentiments. Everybody else, welcome to the board. You will see that there's a timeline up here. We don't always get out this early, so you better enjoy it. Now I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
All right, all in favor, please raise your right hand. We are adjourned.